Hey GrantMe viewers, welcome to GrantMe Admission Reviews. Today we're going to talk all about Western Ivey, the business program at Western University. We're going to do an ultimate guide on academics, admissions, student life, and of course, how to fund your education. Before we jump straight into the video, I just want to let you know that this is actually going to be my school starting September of this year. I'll be headed over to Western University studying BMOS with also an Ivy AEO to the Ivy School of Business in my 3rd and 4th year. So I'm super excited to do this admissions guide with you. So I know a lot about the topic and this is my top choice school as well. So hopefully I can provide some insights to help you guys as well. Alright, without further ado, let's jump into our first topic, academics. So let's talk about a little bit about the career opportunities that Western Ivey provides you. And there are a ton. So some of the statistics is that the starting salary for a Western Ivey HBA grad is $75,000. If you're interested in any of these 3 industries, finance, consulting, or tech, you are in luck for Western Ivey. According to the 2021 employment reports, 30% of HBA graduates went into finance, 22% went into consulting, and 7% in tech. A little bit about Western Ivey's exchange program is that it happens in the 4th year and you take a semester abroad. 20 to 25% of students choose to do this, and you kind of apply through the Western process and you still continue to pay Western normal tuition, but you go study abroad. This is a great opportunity to build a diverse skill set, mindset, or just explore cultures in different parts of the world. The process is quite simple. You would apply on the website and then you'd be interviewed by the exchange committee, and then you'd be accepted into one of the 40 plus partnered schools in Asia, in Europe, or South America that Western Ivey partnered with. Talking a little bit about courses under academics, Western Ivey's business school is very, very unique. You don't go into Western Ivey Business School in the 1st year, you go into it in the 3rd year. So in the first 2 years, you can study any program at Western University. This could be medical science, it could be computer science, it could be engineering, this could be social sciences, anything you want. And then as long as you have your AEO or get accepted into Ivy School of Business in a 3rd and 4th year, you're all good. And this is extremely good because it gives students an option to do a dual degree in 5 years. So if you just do 1 extra year after your year at Ivy, you can get not only a Western degree, you can also get an Ivy HBA. In addition, Ivy also has a 1-year accelerated MBA program that if students wanted to, pursue an MBA for 1 year right after their Ivy HBA, that's also an option for them as well. But with that said, there are a little bit of requirements for the courses that you need to take to maintain your AEO status or get into your 3rd year Ivy if you wanted to apply. So the first thing is you need to maintain 80% average or above to meet your AEO requirements. The second thing is you need to not get lower than 70% minimum in the 2nd year class Business 2257. And then the last requirement, there's a few more, but these are the main 3 requirements. You have to have some kind of extracurricular involvement, whether that's in a school, a part-time job, back at home, or in the community. Okay, let's talk about admissions. How do you actually get into Western Ivey? So the requirements for Ivy comes in 3 parts. 1, they recommend a 93 plus average in your top 6 grade 12 courses, including English. The second thing is that they required that you finish and completed a university math course. So this is like calculus for BC students like me. I took AP calculus if anyone wondered. And then also you need to have a lot of leadership and extracurricular involvement in the community, or work, or just in your school as well. For how Western Ivey weighs your AEO application, they weigh it 50-50 between your grades and your supplemental application. And Western Ivey has one of the longest and heftiest supplemental applications. You have to have 2 long essays and then 2 shorter essays. For me, it was about a COVID impact on that long essay. So 4 essays in total. Then you have to list out all of your extracurricular activities and write a short paragraph describing each and your involvement and your commitment and the impact that you made. And then you also have an optional section to list out all your awards, describing them as well. So a very, very, very long prompt and supplemental application, but Western Ivey does really care about your supplemental application, hence the 50-50 split between grades and extracurriculars. The admission average for Western Ivy is 93%, but definitely at least have a minimum of 90% when applying, and definitely back that up if you do have a lower 90 average with a beautiful supplemental application. But with that said, a lot of my friends and even I who got into Western Ivy AEO have known to have 90 plus averages, so I definitely recommend that grades are a extremely important part of your application, and definitely aim for at least a 95 plus average to have a very good chance of getting in. With that said, what is the acceptance rate of Western Ivy AEO? So going in for AEO offers straight from high school, it's an 8% acceptance rate, but Western Ivy did announce that they increased their class size by around 20%. So hopefully this acceptance rate goes up a little tiny bit, maybe closer to 10% in the next few years, because they're going to be intaking more students. But I wouldn't expect too much change. It's probably around the high one digit to max around like 10% acceptance rate. So it is extremely competitive program because it's one of the best business programs in Canada. Let's talk a little bit about student life, because everyone loves having a good social life and having a good mental health. And going to Western, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be disappointed. That's one of the reasons I chose Western, because I love making new friends and going to social events. But first, let's talk a little bit about dorms. So there are three types of dorms. There's traditional, hybrid, and suites. So traditional, this is very simple. It's like the traditional dorms that you see in movies, communal washrooms, very lively floor. You get to know everyone on your floor, basically, or even in your whole dorm, and they're single and also shared rooms with a roommate. Hybrid, however, is if you wanted a little bit more privacy and share a bathroom with less people, is shared between 4 people and 2 double rooms. So you do have a roommate, and it's kind of like a mini suite, and you have your room, and then you have another 2 people in another room, and you share this entire area and this washroom. I do recommend Ontario Hall. That's one of the most popular reses. Unfortunately, I didn't get in. It's all random for dorms. But Ontario Hall is one of the newest. It has great food and is one of the popular choices among incoming students. The last type of dorms is called suite style. Suite style, it's literally like a suite. It's like an apartment. It has your own kitchen, you have your own sink, you have your own washroom shared between 1 and 4 people, and you have a single room. So it's literally like an apartment, and it's a lot of privacy if you are a more quieter person, and you still get to know your roommates at least quite well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about meal plans. So meal plans, if you do live in a residence, you can get a residence meal plan. This is around $6,000. There is an overhead fee, which half of that meal plan goes to, and then half of it is going to be your meal credits. And in those meal credits, you also get flex dollars. So flex dollars are super cool because you can not only spend it in your dorm kind of food, but you can also go all around campus, vending machines, Tim Hortons, anything that's affiliated to this entire Western campus, you can use that meal plan card and buy it as well. Social life. This is one of the biggest topic at Western University. It's super known to have a very lively and fun and interactive campus, and you're definitely not going to be disappointed. There are a ton of social events happening, whether that's networking events for business students or that's like cultural events with clubs. There are a ton of social events. You'll never need to miss out on anything if you put yourself out there. Talking a little bit about libraries, there are 4 very big major libraries, and there's a few affiliated libraries and kind of like storages or files. But the main ones are the D.B. Weldon Library, the Allen and Betty Taylor Library, the C.B. Budd, or they call it Budd Library for business, and then John and Dotsa Bit of Family Law Library. But in addition to a lot of these library spots, there are a ton of study spots all around campus. And one of my favorite spots is the Ivy School of Business. It's very quiet, it's isolated, and you meet a lot of business students there. So if you're in first and second year and not in Ivy, maybe go in there and study. You might meet some upper years that are willing to lend a hand or provide some advice for their experience in Western Ivy. Talking a little bit about clubs, Western has a huge club scene, and there are a ton of clubs that you want to join in. But specifically for, let's talk a little bit about business clubs, because we're talking about Western Ivy. The main one for first year is PBSN. This is the Pre-Business Network for students. and this is mainly for pre-Ivy students, but any students can join. The other main investment club is WIC. So this is Western Investment Club. Is a very popular one for students that want to go into finance. And there are a ton of other clubs as well. There's startup clubs, there's consulting clubs, there's tech clubs. There are many clubs for any type of business industry that you want to go in. All right, let's talk about the last topic for today, how to fund your education, aka funding. So program costs. It is a little bit unique because the first 2 years you aren't actually in Ivy School of Business. You're just at a normal Western program. So this really just depends on what program you choose. So if you do engineering, it's probably a little bit closer to $15,000. If you do a social science, it may be closer to $6,000-7,000 a year for tuition. But then for your third and fourth year, when you actually get into the Ivy School of Business, it is quite an expensive tuition cost. It's $25,000 a year for domestic students. In addition to that, if you're an international student, you would have to expect around double the domestic fee, so around $50,000 or plus for tuition for international students. However, there are a few scholarships that students are automatically given to when they apply to Western, depending on your average. So there's the Excellence Scholarship. This is $8,000 depending on your top high school averages, and if you're around, they give around 250 of these out every year and just given to the students with the highest average applying to Western. There's a Western Scholarship of Distinction. This is for students with the average of between 92 to 100. And also there's the Merit Scholarship for students with the average between 90 and 92. The one major scholarship at Western is called the Western National Scholarship, and this is the President's Scholarship, and they give around 30 of these every year, and they have a very long application, but I definitely recommend applying to it as it's very worth it, as it's $50,000 to $70,000 for your education. That basically covers almost all of your tuition costs. In addition to scholarship, Western also provides financial aid or bursaries to students as well. So you just go onto their website, type in Western Bursary, and you click apply, and this is a application that can be renewed every single year. So you can reapply every single year and get your financial situation reassessed, and Western sends a confirmation of how much bursary you are eligible for or you have received. So a little bit about the requirements. You must be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. You have to be registered at the main campus at Western, not an affiliated college. You have to be in a full or part-time program, and you actually have to demonstrate genuine financial need, and you have to put in a few of your tax information from both your parents, and they answer that in the application, and you get it assessed, and you get that back to you with a bursary offer. Thank you for watching, GrantMe viewers. That's going to be a coming of the end of our Western Ivy guide. We talked about academics, admissions, student life, and funding, and we really hope you learned something new about Western Ivy, and hopefully I can see you at campus too at Western. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe and turn notifications on. Until next time.